This week in East Brunswick, Isaac Asimov, the popular author of the current bestseller Foundation's Edge, made a special appearance on Sunday at the library. The Friends of the Library sponsored the program, which was free and open to the general public. As part of the day's festivities, the Friends started a book endowment fund in Mr. Asimov's name, which will be used to enhance the library's science fiction collection. Asimov's latest book, Foundation's Edge, was the fourth in the popular Foundation series, which was awarded a Hugo as Best All-Time Science Fiction Series. Mayor Fox introduced the author.
Some of you may know, I didn't, that he's written 260 books. He is a very popular author in our library. This is the listing of the books that our library has under his authorship. And, the library wanted me to show you that. And this also has the circulation figures, and you see that many of these books have circulated just in the recent couple of years, 30, 40, 50 times. So there's also a great readership. I'd like to thank, on your behalf, the Friends of the Library for sponsoring this event today. And since I assume that most of you didn't come in to just get out of the cold and you know something about Isaac Asimov, I would just like to say that he is indeed, I think, my favorite author. It's very difficult to arrive at who your favorite author is. I was thinking about, since I knew I was going to be here today, whether or not I could call him my favorite author, and so I had to think through a number of things. And I finally decided that was the case. In particular, the Foundation trilogy and now Foundation's Edge are very, very stimulating writing. I read the trilogy again for about the third time over Christmas in preparation for reading Foundation's Edge, because it had been a few years since I read it. And it continues to be stimulating. I continue to be amazed at the sociological extrapolations, at the observations about power that are contained therein, and that's my favorite part of his writing. So it is just a great personal, I didn't mean it that way. I didn't mean it that way at all. And so it's just a great personal privilege and pleasure to introduce to you Isaac Asimov.
Heavens. That's good. Gee, look at all those Foundation's edges. I have to apologize for being a little late. I'm sorry to make you wait. Without casting stones, I will merely say that I wasn't the one who was responsible. But here I am anyway, and now a lot of you are saying to yourself, for this we waited? But I suppose the subject right now, for me anyway, is Foundation's Edge, which today, according to the New York Times, has been on the bestseller list for 13 weeks, which is exactly a quarter of a year, and it's in 4th place. Now, mark you, this was my 262nd book, and my 261 previous books altogether, were on the bestseller list at one time or another 0 times. And you may well say, how is it possible for an author such as yourself, Dr. Asimov, who has written on every subject under the sun for all age groups and has always maintained a careful distance from all bestseller lists, as befits a person of decency and courage who writes only good stuff? Why should you, the 262nd time out, completely lost your ability to miss the target and plunked it right into the garbage pit? And all I can say is I never intended it. I don't know what happened. I wrote the Foundation's Edge, and at the present moment, nearly 250,000 people have bought it at full price on hardcover. And they can't be my fans because altogether, you understand, I have 6,243 fans. Where the other 214,000 people came from, I don't know. I think it's because there must be that many people who buy every bestseller list, every best-selling book there is, so they can talk about it to their friends, and that keeps it on the bestseller list. But in any case, there are people who want to know why on earth I decided to write Foundation's Edge after having been blissfully free of the Foundation series altogether for 32 years, you know. I wrote the last little bit of it in 1950, and they put out the 3 books, and that was it. And after that, no matter how many people asked me to write, I always said no. And the longer I waited, the more firmly I said no. Because as time went on, I realized I couldn't get back into the Foundation universe. I wrote the Foundation series in the 1940s, when I was in my 20s. Whereas now, in the 1980s, I am in my 30s. And there's an awful lot of things that you can do in your 20s, which afterwards, with increasing maturity and wisdom, you realize you can't do. And the Foundation was one of them. The concept was just too great. An entire galaxy trying to detail its history and interstellar intrigues, and getting that sort of swoop of historical change over the centuries. I mean, a Tolstoy couldn't do it. But I started it when I was 21. You see, not because I had the ability of Tolstoy, but because I had the ignorance of Isaac Asimov. My publishers, my esteemed publishers, because as time went on, they did a little calculation, deciding that an awful lot of people would be curious to read another Foundation novel, even if it were lousy. See, now that's the difference between the publisher and the writer. If a publisher feels that a bad book will sell, it becomes a good book to them, you see, whereas an author is much more highly placed, has ideals, has a reverence for good things and stuff like that there. So they called me in and said I would have to write another Foundation novel. They couldn't wait any longer. I was clearly getting rickety on my feet. The state of my health was obviously bad. They just weren't going to wait. They were just hoping I'd manage to last long enough to finish it. And they then proceeded to offer me an awful lot of money. I'm above money myself. But I was terribly impressed by the fact that Doubleday was going to risk in advance 10 times my usual. I felt it would be insulting for me to turn it down.
Hi, I'm John Migliaro for This Week in East Brunswick. As we all know, the East Brunswick High School gym is the scene for most indoor high school athletic events. But this Monday night, January 17th, is going to be a real happening. Get your pencils and paper right now and mark this down, as the East Brunswick High School Athletic Association brings professional wrestling to the East Brunswick High School gym. Not the kind of wrestling you're seeing right now, but professional wrestling. And the headliners for Monday night will include the Samoan Brothers, the Strongbow Brothers in a title match, as well as a super title match between Pedro Morales and superstar Billy Graham. So mark that down. That's this Monday night, January 17th at 8 o'clock at East Brunswick High School. And remember, you'll see it here that Thursday on This Week in East Brunswick. See you then.
Hello, I'm Adrienne Eisner of the East Brunswick Consumer Affairs Office. Welcome to Consumer Aware. The United States Consumer Product Safety Commission warns consumers of an explosion hazard that may be associated with certain fireplace-powered water heaters used to supplement home heating systems. Units involved were sold under the brand names of Hydro Hearth, Hydro Place, and Aqua Great. Manufacturers of these units, Ridgeway Steel Fabricators Incorporated of Ridgeway, Pennsylvania, and Shark Manufacturing Corporation of Green Lawn, New York, are no longer in business. At least 8 explosion incidents have been associated with the failure of these devices since 1977. The devices are made of tubular steel and resemble a fireplace grate or liner. Plumbing connects the unit to the hot water heating system of the home. If the unit does not have an adequate pressure release device properly installed, the buildup of pressure can cause an explosion. Consumers who have one of these units should have the installation checked by a licensed plumber who has specific knowledge of boilers, water pumps, and pressure relief valves. Other fireplace-powered water heaters that contain built-in safety devices are not subject to this warning. If you have any questions regarding these devices, please call this toll-free hotline operated by the Consumer Product Safety Commission. Call 800-638-CPSC. That's 800-638-CPSC. And thank you for joining me on Consumer Aware.
At this week's council meeting, members discussed a proposed ordinance from the Planning Board which seeks to change sections of the Kelman property on the corner of Cranberry Road and Riders Lane from C2 to R2 zoning. Township Planner Carl Hintz outlined the proposed changes and explained how they were related to East Brunswick's master plan, especially the Town Green Area Plan.
The Planning Board made a recommendation approximately, John, a year ago, sometime like that, suggesting that since the master plan had designated this portion of the town as a town green area, and it had designated a specific area for future commercial growth, that the C2 zoning in this area was inconsistent with that. And I'll show you in a minute what that inconsistency is. That the C2 underlying zone in the areas, and this may be hard for you to read, but this little corner area of pink and this area here of pink be deleted from the C2 zone, leaving this area here. Now, just to orient you, this is Cranberry Road. This line here is Ruse Lane, and then Riders Lane comes up and around here, and we're right here. So the area that we're talking about leaving C2 is the gas station, an adjacent vacant parcel next to it on Ruse Lane. Across the street, the shopping center that's existing. This is the Town Green Plan, which is an amendment to the master plan. Riders Lane, the new Riders Lane, cuts across, leaves Riders Lane, and cuts through the farm pond right opposite here, and heads in a easterly direction, crossing at the point just above the existing shopping center. And if you're familiar with the entrance to Carriage Square, that is the new Riders Lane, built in its correct alignment. So that runs on Carriage Square, approximately from here on Cranberry Road to this point here at the present time. That it continues along out to connect back up to Summerhill Road intersection with Moose Lane. The purpose, of course, for all this handle traffic that's presently a problem through this area, even without any town green development. Ruse Lane was designed as a local road, and the purpose here is to turn it back into a local residential street. But the commercial area that's outlined in the plan, in the master plan, designates the shopping center, not the sliver to the north, but designates that as residential, designates the gas station, and then the adjacent vacant parcel next to it. And then across the street, just north of the farm stand, from there going up to the new Riders Lane, almost an equal area of new additional commercial development that could occur in that area. Now, these lines are not fixed. This is a master plan. These lines are meant to be somewhat amorphous. I mean, it could entail this area, but the general idea is that this be the core of commercial development in the township, oriented on the new Riders Ruse Lane intersection rather than on existing Ruse Riders intersection, which is right down here.
The essential difference between the town green zone and the existing commercial zone is the town green comes in as a package, and everything has to be planned out in its entire configuration, how it affects everything around it. That commercial zone that's right there on Route Lane now can be developed just by itself without any consideration to what's going on around it and what the eventual plans are for the new riders and the eventual dead ending of Rouse Lane. And so that while it may be possible, you have better control under the town green zone in terms of the integrity of the entire plan than you do under the existing commercial zone.
The council decided to place the ordinance on next week's agenda. Later, Joe Hudak began a council discussion on administrators' salaries.
Contract. I mean, I'm looking at administrator salaries, and I'm just wondering whether they in turn get the same 10% raise that normally the policemen and the municipal workers get. And I think that in these economic times when they're getting very hard, if our administrator gets $46,000, he will be making $51,000. And it's getting to a point where within a number of years, some of these salaries will be on par with cabinet members of the state, if not the governor. And I think that we in turn should more or less singly negotiate with each department head and each administrator. I don't think that it is that they should come in on a contract at 10%, because when you start talking $40,000 or so and you take 10% of that, maybe 5% is adequate. I don't think any salary should be automatic for any people. I mean, in fact, the company I work for, DuPont, is not giving a lot of raises to a lot of people. There is a lot of economic hardships out there, and I think it's time that we took a very close look at salaries, because you can see that salaries take up a greater part of your budget procedure. And I think that here is a way that we could look very closely to find out what these salaries are going up. I mean, it's getting to a point where it's getting, for example, I know that you negotiate with the PBA. Now, here's another thing with the captains. They're at $36,000. They'll be at $40,000 with that 10% raise. $40,000. You got 5 captains. You have 1 director, 1 assistant director. I mean, it's getting to a point where the salaries plus the benefits. I mean, I'm hearing so many different prices as far as the benefits are concerned, anywhere from 30% to 55%. Now, in this new contract, is it within the prerogative of the council to negotiate these salaries for the present salary scale?
Well, in the existing contract, there is no contract with the administrators. So that it is always the prerogative of the mayor and the council to decide what the salary will be for the administrators. As a matter of fact, the mayor has told me that in this existing budget, the budget he is recommending for 1983, he is recommending no increase at all for the administrators, because he feels that at the present time, given the economic conditions and the way the recession has affected the rateable base in East Brunswick, we cannot afford to do so. So that, in fact, it is not tied to the contract. The mayor has already made the decision, and he will be announcing it, that he will not recommend any salary increases for the administrators. Now, if the council wants to increase certain administrators, then it's up to the council to do that when we discuss the budget.
Well, I think maybe we should go around to all the other heads of of certain departments and try to stabilize that.
No.
There's the director of public safety.
Is
He'll be
across
at
the board?
47. Well,
When I
what
speak
we
of
could.
administrators, wait, excuse me, Mr. Chairman. When I speak
Yeah.
of administrators, I mean any manager, anyone who is not in the union will not receive a wage increase this year. That is the mayor's recommendation.
So that counts as director of public safety.
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
And then I think it's a very good idea, and
The captain,
I think it's-
anyone who is not in the union. These are considered by the administrators.
well, this is some outward signs that we're moving in a positive direction.
Also at this week's council meeting, Council President Geraldine Weber announced that the municipal budget hearings, scheduled to begin Saturday, January 15th, will begin 1 week later on the 22nd and will run through February 12th. The hearings will once again be shown live on Channel 8 beginning at 9 a.m. on the 22nd. Be sure to watch next week's Township News for details of the mayor's budget presentation to be delivered to the council at next Monday's action session.